Origin just Home Rex, and this is the F-15 Silent Eagle, an upgrade in stealth and power, which are found and explained. Yeah, I remember like hearing about like they're making an F-15 into a stealth plane. Lockheed, I'm guessing, right? I don't. Yeah. So they're making F-15 into basically that's its name, Silent Eagle. Okay. So there's EX version, which is like a heavyweight version. This is what a SE version, Silent Eagle. Yeah, I don't know how stealthy that's going to be compared to F-22 and F-35 because those were like built for stealth. But this, look, if it's like something similar to like J-20 or Su-57, that in itself is like an achievement because if you're equal to your competition, and obviously you're like heavyweight because you're like like F-15, right? You're like a lot of things that basically gives you like a lot of power, twin jets, Mark 3 and all that, right? I'm guessing they will try to preserve as much as carrying capacity it has. So I don't know, it could be really good, and especially like how many F-15 there are in the world, like it could be like a easier thing. So it's gonna be interesting. Let's read.
Hidden in the clouds and invisible to radar is America's latest multi-role stealth jet. With its legendary status in the US Air Force and impressive air warfare record, the F-15 has been the backbone of the US Air Force and one of the most potent aerial combat platforms in the world. But a new era brings new challenges, and the Silent Eagle was to bridge the gap between traditional 4th gen fighter designs and stealth. This is the story of how it went. After analysing their experiences in both Vietnam and the Korean Wars, the US Air Force realised that they would need a dedicated fighter for future warfare. A page from the Soviet handbook. You see, unlike the F-4, which was more of a multi-role jet, Soviet MiGs were dedicated fighter jets, made to perform that role only and crush it. So this new FX program would set air superiority as its main goal. However, citing the new Soviet aircraft in 1967, the MiG-25 made this task much harder for the Americans. The US military was pretty scared of this Soviet boogeyman because, based on their research and the John Boyd maneuverability theory, this jet would be unmatched in air-to-air warfare due to its large wings, maximum speed, and presumed high maneuverability and thrust.
Yeah, I like how basically this has similarities to the China tank that was like leaked in War Thunder forums. I saw task and purpose video on it, like it all feels legitimate, but in the end it's just a leaked thing, leaked document in War Thunder forums. It could be equivalent to MiG-25 thing that they had. Oh my god, China's tank this, and then turns out to be not that powerful. Right now on paper it looks like it's better than Abrams, but is it really? Like China can just make something better than Abrams? US has like a history, basically accumulating knowledge that led to Abrams, right? If China can just make something better than that, come on.
To weight ratio. The new F-15 would be made to this single goal, a dedicated fighter jet to counter the MiG-25 threat and dominate the skies. But their previous assessment of the Soviet threat turned out to not be really accurate at all. In 1976, Soviet defector Viktor Belenko gifted the West one MiG-25 and a big relief. The boogeyman wasn't that scary in their FX program. Now the F-15 was far superior in almost every aspect. The MiG-25 was an interceptor, not a fighter. Oh, it was a flying brick in terms of maneuverability, although it was very, very fast. And this marked the beginning of a great and long career for the F-15. The F-15A and B and later C and D variants respectively served as the main US air superiority or heavy fighter up until the 21st century. But during the late 80s, a new variant of this jet, the F-15E, opened a whole new door of options as a true multi-role fighter. The F-15E would continue to be an invaluable asset in many operations, including Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Allied Force, to name a few. It was a right modification to the F-15 platform at the right moment. But as time went by, the playing field changed and set new rules and requirements, one of which would be stealth. The F-15C would be shadowed by the development and adoption by the US Air Force of the F-22 Raptor, the new king of the skies. And the 15E, although an amazing jet, had a couple of issues for the new state of modern warfare. First and foremost, its radar cross-section. It was huge compared to other US aircraft. With a radar cross-section of 25 square meters, the F-15 is 2 times higher than its direct counterpart, the Su-27, 5 times higher than the MiG-29, and if we look at the other US jets, some 25 times higher than the Super Hornet. Yikes. For pilots of the F-15, it's like riding around in a giant bullseye.
Yeah, compared to F-18, it's insane like how much of a radar cross-section F-15 has, right? So it would be a challenge itself to make it into Silent Eagle. Like, how are they going to do that? Like, F-15 is one of the largest cross-section, which is like, it makes sense if you see like what its job is, right? So they went to the E, which is Eagle, right? Now EX, and now like S tier. There you go, Silent Eagle. I'm guessing it's going to be code S or something.
Another problem was its aging tech. While the F-15 is fantastic, it was developed back in the 80s and due to an upgrade if Boeing wanted to offer it to international customers. So to hit 2 birds with 1 stone, the engineers got cooking and came up with a surprising, nimble and crafty solution. The result? The F-15 Silent Eagle. Based off the production model of the F-15E, at first glance there were no serious changes, but that wasn't true at all. The first thing Boeing did was replace the CFTs, or conformal fuel tanks, with CWBs, or conformal weapons bays. Fuel was out, firepower was in. This would keep the aerodynamic design the same as the proven 15E, but help it with the core issues that the F-15 had. This new CWBs would house 2 missiles each, either AMRAAM or Sidewinders, and still allow for some extra fuel in the back to be stored. Another change were slightly canted vertical stabilizers compared to the original design. The F-15's vertical tails were 15 degrees outward, and this helped a lot because the radar signature would slightly drop with tails not being parallel to each other and having 90 degrees to the fuselage. The Silent Eagle would also sport RAM panels, or panels that were coated with radar absorbent material, just like the F-22.
Yeah, but those angles have like downsides to it, right? Like, wouldn't that make it less nimble at higher speeds? The F-15 is supposed to go at really high speed if it needs to be. Now we can't do that, I'm guessing, because of those, change degrees.
F-35. This paint would actually play a significant role in the mission of lowering the radar cross-section of this jet, just like the new F-16s and F-35s are being painted in this special, and forgive the layman term here, glass coat, and we can assume that the F-15 SE would receive the same treatment. But they wouldn't stop there. Boeing would also take the time to massively upgrade the systems on board the plane, making the Silent Eagle one of the most advanced fighters flying in the sky. This would range from a number of different electro-optical upgrades, with the IRST to allow tracking enemy jets without the use of radar. It's something that the F-15E could do, but they had to have an external pod, so putting this inside would keep up with that stealth performance. Pilots would also be equipped with the new JHMCS helmets and new DEWS, or Digital Electronics Weapon Systems, that was developed by BAE for this jet. There would also be a new fly-by-wire system developed for the Saudi F-15s that would be incorporated, and it would receive brand new GE engines, allowing it to go toe-to-toe with a jet made this century. So in theory, all of this looked...
Oh, this is insane. Fly-by-wire systems, entirely new engine. This is basically how they restore old Corvettes and things like that, right? Old Camaros, right? Chevrolet Camaros. Like, what was the... I don't know... So what was the show's name, right? Where they took like old things and just like completely pimped the fucking ride with everything new. This was something similar to that, right? There was like a British, which car was that? Interceptor, right? Which they put Corvette engine in it. Like, there you go, new Interceptor. This is something like that. Oh, there you go.
promising, and this stopgap would possibly be the most advanced 4th generation fighter ever built. So why did we never get the stealthy F-15? When they announced it to the international market, several buyers immediately took great interest. South Korea was principally one of the main new customers for this jet, but as they began negotiations, there were some questions raised about their own home-ground aircraft industry. The development of their KF-21 jet was making great strides, and when they took less and less interest in the Silent Eagle, Boeing started to look for new customers. However, they weren't so lucky. Back on the home front, the US Air Force didn't want this new jet at the time because this was 2010 here and nobody could even think about replacing the F-22s. And internationally, many buyers didn't want a jet this large and would look for a true 5th generation jet instead, the F-35, even though it was projected to cost almost double the F-15 SE. After a couple more years, Boeing decided to shelve.
See, I think the whole problem with this is like there's a reason why they're not selling F-22s, right? There was like a air dominance stealth factor they didn't want the world to know, right? Now, if they like transfer F-15 to the similar technology and just like sell to other people, basically they can like transfer their other F-15 to something like this and like technology is out there. What was the point of not selling F-22 at that point? So I'm guessing that must have been an issue as well. Like, okay, you can't just fucking do this. Come on. There's a reason why we kept F-22. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure like Boeing and Lockheed Martin can basically, obviously, what was that? YF-23. Also Japan is basically taking that and just like making their own something like that. But there must be some US laws that like, okay, you can do all those things only if you agree to it or something, right? Basically how they did with F-22s, like you can't sell F-22s to anybody else, something like that.
Of the program, but they never quite let go, leading to a birth of something even better, the F-15EX Eagle II. This jet we'll cover in a separate video, but suffice to say the saga of the F-15 is far from over and will continue to protect the skies of the United States for even decades to come, looking to even reclaim the title of King of the Skies from even the mighty F-22 Raptor. Thanks so much for watching and be sure to subscribe and follow for the continuation.
Yeah, F-15 was so insane of a like task they took. Like they just made it so OP. Everything they make from F-15s is like it's gonna be good, right? Because the pace of it was so OP in its own way. So F-22 cannot be upgraded that much. That's the whole point. That's why they like stopping that and making next generation air dominance. But yeah, F-15 they can just basically make this better and better. F-15EX is already like scheduled for multiple decades now. That's how good F-15 is. Right, so before F-15, like they were not thinking about like air dominance. F-4 was like multi-purpose thing, right? So now with the oh my god, MiG-25, we need to like OP this shit. And there you go, F-15. It's so OP that they're thinking of just like modifying it, and it works apparently. Right, well, that was F-15 Silent Eagle, an upgrade in stealth and power by channel Found and Explained. If you like my next video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.